Good morning. Our lab session today is about the subject of muscles of the thoracic cage. Muscles of the thoracic cage could be classified as, in the lecture, into extrinsic muscles and intrinsic muscles. The term extrinsic is applied for any muscle that is functioning on the upper limb or on the anterior abdominal wall, but it is attached to the thoracic cage. For example, pectoralis major is attached to the sternum and ribs, but it is functioning and its insertion is into the upper limb. So it is a muscle on the thoracic wall, it is extrinsic muscle of the thoracic wall. Similarly, serratus anterior is a muscle of the upper limb, but it is attached to the ribs, to the thoracic cage, so it is extrinsic muscles of the thoracic wall. Same of oblique muscles of the anterior abdominal wall, rectus abdominis of anterior abdominal wall. In addition to the extrinsic muscles, we have intrinsic muscles of the thoracic wall, which are the muscles in between the ribs. The muscles which are in between the ribs could be grouped into three layers, from superficial to deep. The most superficial muscle in between the ribs is called external intercostal muscle. Deep to it is internal intercostal muscle. And the deepest of the two is called thoracis, transversus thoracis muscle. Although some textbooks call it innermost intercostal muscle. But according to the description that I am following, the deepest layer is the transversus thoracis muscle. I will start with this sample to describe these muscles. Also, here, this is pectoralis major, extrinsic muscle, while that is pectoralis minor, deep to pectoralis major. Here pectoralis major is removed, and this is extrinsic muscle. That is rectus abdominis muscle, which is muscle of the anterior abdominal wall, but it is extrinsic muscle of thoracic cage. This is serratus anterior muscle, and on that side I have serratus anterior and external oblique, which is a muscle. The external oblique is a muscle of the anterior abdominal wall, but it is extrinsic of the thoracic cage because it is attached to the ribs. I can see that the first layer, which is this, is or must be the external intercostal muscle. The external intercostal muscle shows a direction of fiber which is downward, forward, and medially. Right? Can you see in the camera what is the direction of fiber here? It is downward, backward, and laterally. Right? So this is not external intercostal muscle. This is internal intercostal muscle. Right? And the same for that. The direction of fiber is of internal intercostal muscle. From theory, you know that The internal intercostal muscle reaches the margin of the sternum, but the external intercostal muscle stops here at the costochondral junction. So this is what is representing internal intercostal due to two reasons. The first reason, the direction of fiber, downward, backward, and laterally. The second reason is that it reached to the margin of the sternum in between the costal cartilages. The same for that. Of course, this is a ready-made sample. If I will put it from that side, I will see the deepest layer. The deepest layer is the innermost and subcostalis and sternocostalis. Now I'm seeing these strips which are extending between the sternum and the ribs or costal cartilage from second to sixth. So these are strips of sternocostalis, which some textbook call it transversus thoracis. احنا بالنسبة لنا نعتبر part of transversus thoracis. Deep to sternocostalis anteriorly here, I must say that this is internal intercostal muscle. But if I'll go more lateral here, in the middle 2/4 of the intercostal space, I could not say this is internal intercostal muscle. I must say this is innermost intercostal muscle, part of transversus thoracis. Because here from inside, the innermost covers the internal, and you should not see the internal just like the anterior, unless here lateral you must remove the innermost, and this is a ready-made sample. Okay? Of course, as I said, this is a ready-made sample. I can see that the direction of fibers here is forward rather than backward, right? It is downward, forward in that direction, but it is backward. So actually this is a manufacturer error. It doesn't show the external intercostal in both samples. Both samples did not show the external intercostal. They are showing the internal intercostal. Here also it is directed backward. But on the back, this is sternocostalis. Keep to it, this is internal intercostal. But I'll go lateral. This is innermost. Just look to the section. This is pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, and this is the muscles of the intercostal muscles. This is major, all of this is major, this is minor, and this is the intercostal muscles. Actually, we will prepare for you cadaver which is much nicer than that. You can see the ribs and costal cartilage, the sternum, these parts, the costal cartilage, the blue one, could also be used in the exam for pointing in the exam. Let us have this sample. This is the esophagus in blue. The blue one is the esophagus, the blue is the esophagus. And deep to the esophagus are the vertebrae, right? And on the sides of the vertebrae here and there is a region which is called paravertebral gutter, right? And in the right and left paravertebral gutter, I may see this strand, and that strand, and that one. These strips are representing in the sample subcostalis muscle. Subcostalis, which is this one, that one, and that one, represent strips. These are the strips. This is one. Of course, the manufacturer must make this strip crossing more than one rib, but he didn't do that. This is wrong in the manufacturing. What we can see also in this sample, I can see that the blue is esophagus, and on the side of it, this is a vein, and that is a vein. These are the azygous vein on the right side, and the hemiazygous vein on the left side. And you can see that the posterior intercostal tributaries of the azygous and hemiazygous veins. Right? You know that the posterior intercostal vein are tributaries of the azygous on the right side, hemiazygous on the left side, from number 5 to 12, because from 1 to 4 it is in other terms. In addition, I can see here that the nerve which is this one and that one is seen in the intercostal groove. In the intercostal space. If I make a pointing deep to the nerve here, you should say, if you are told what is this red region deep to the nerve, this is the posterior intercostal membrane, not muscle, because the internal intercostal muscle stops at the angle of the rib, and from the angle of the rib to the tubercle of the rib, this is posterior intercostal membrane, or called internal intercostal membrane. Of course, this nerve must have with it the artery and the vein in a vena arrangement. You can see that this region shows the nerve, but the nerve now disappears. Why the nerve here is disappearing here or here? Because here the nerve passes in between the innermost, this is the innermost, and the internal, which is called the neurovascular plate. And that's why in that region only you can see the nerve. It is covered by the endothoracic fascia, but due to it, the red region is the internal intercostal membrane, or called posterior intercostal membrane. And when the nerve disappears, because it runs between the innermost and internal intercostal muscle. Of course, the green duct on the blue esophagus is the left thoracic lymph duct. It is not your topic, it is with the mediastinum. But these are the structures that could be seen in regard to the topic of the intercostal spaces. I will try in the next lab to demonstrate a cadaveric view for these muscles in order to have a model and cadaveric sample. Thank you very much.